Então, boa tarde. I'm speaking in English, so I'm very privileged to be here presenting Mr. Seb Lester with the conference entitled Peace, Hellfire and Outer Space. Seb Lester is a graphic designer and type designer. He has worked for Monotype, where he's made custom typefaces for huge companies like British Airways, Daily Telegraph, H&M, Barclays, and others. He's also worked in letter forms for large companies like NASA, Apple, Intel, the New York Times, Winter Olympics of Vancouver, and others. He's also well known now for being a calligrapher, and especially in social media, where he has over how many followers? 2 million? Over 2 million followers. So that's very impressive. Mr. Seb Lester, everybody.
Okay, good afternoon. Great to be here. Let's begin. Okay, this is the title of my presentation today. It should become clear later why. Today I'll be talking about my life in letter forms from student days to the present. So there are 9 sections to my talk. Runs about 50 minutes. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to talk about student work. I'm going to talk about corporate type design. I'll talk about retail type design. I'm going to talk about art and illustration. I've got a section on designing a logo for NASA for a space mission. I'm going to talk about calligraphy, some work I've done for Apple recently, then have a conclusion. So let's begin. Okay, introduction. Okay, so my name is Seb Lester. I'm an artist and designer, and the focus of all my work is letter forms. I study graphic design at Central St. Martin's in London, and I graduated in 1997. Okay, these are photos of me aged 9 and 18. Now, when I was a kid, I loved 2 things. I loved BMX and I loved art. So all the free time I had, I was either on my bike or I was painting and drawing. I think the reason I mentioned BMX is I think that's what first got me interested in graphic design, because I made this connection very early with the excitement of BMX and the graphics that were on the BMX bikes. This is a Skyway TA. In the 80s, this was like the Lamborghini of 80s BMX bikes. Everyone wanted one of these things. I remember drawing this logo in the back of a school book. I now live in a place called Lewes. Lewes is known for its castle. It's known for 3 things, actually. This is the castle it's known for. And we're still trying to get our head around. We actually live in this house in the middle of this picture. It's built into the banks of Lewes Castle. It's an old converted stable building. Lewes is also known for its bonfire celebrations. So 5th of November every year, the town goes absolutely crazy. There's a lot of marching and a lot of bonfire celebrations with fireworks and big. It's just people go absolutely bonkers, basically. Lewes is also known for its brewery. The locals know this building as Lewes Cathedral. Okay, I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. This is Chevy. We've got 2 house rabbits. This is Chevy and Tess, and we absolutely adore them. They're the cutest things. Really good fun. He's a happy little bunny. I thought I'd show you some pictures of my corporate headquarters in Lewes. I've been told I'm a very difficult person to live with. Maybe you get that impression looking at this picture. Aspirational lifestyle photo number 2. Okay, let's talk about student work. So, this is a painting I did when I was 18 years old. It's a self-portrait. I think I've put in about £200 since I painted this picture. but I've included it because I think it shows that from a very early age I put a lot of emphasis on craftsmanship in my work. I think craftsmanship is one of the cornerstones of beautiful art and design. So I really wanted, here are some more paintings when I was 18 or 19. So I really wanted to be a painter. And then what happened was I was doing a foundation course, I think I was about 19, and I came across this book in the college library. This is The Graphic Language of Neville Brody, and it was an amazing discovery. I suddenly had this epiphany moment, and I thought, it had never occurred to me before to try and design a typeface, but Brody was making typefaces look very sexy and cool and stylish, and I just started thinking about letterforms in a different way. So, as a student, I started drawing typefaces. This is about 1991, I think. I didn't have a computer. It was hard to get on the ones in college. You can see this is literally, the two inspirations for this are Neville Brody and 80s BMX bike logos. It's literally a cross between those two things. So, I was doing, the 90s were a period of a lot of experimentation in letterform design. This is part of a letter I sent to a type foundry called Emigra, asking them if they wanted to release this typeface. I never heard back, and I was really upset at the time, but now I look back, I think they couldn't read my letter, to be honest. But I went to Central St. Martin's, and by the time I got to the third year, my type design was improving. This is my first commercial typeface. It was released through T26, a type foundry in Chicago. This is arguably the most unusable typeface available on the market today. This has sold 4 copies since 1996. It's quite impressive. 4. But what was nice was that one of the 4 people that bought it was the art director of Rolling Stone magazine. So that was really nice. Because I love Wu-Tang Clan, and he'd used it for a layout. And he just totally understood what I was trying to do. So I left college. I had a really tough time, actually. I think for 3 years after college, I got sporadic freelance work. I was designing crappy album covers and packaging for computer games. It never occurred to me I could actually make a living as a type designer, and then I got a job as a type designer. So the next section now, I'm going to talk about corporate type design. In 2000, I got a job at Monotype as a custom type designer. Monotype's been around since 1896. It's the biggest type company in the world. I've got very mixed feelings about Monotype in lots of ways, but it certainly laid the foundation for everything that followed, I think. So this is 2005. It's a corporate typeface for Intel. It's called Neosans Intel. It's based on a typeface, a retail typeface I designed. I think the agency was Future Brand, New York. I'll show you an example of it being used in an advert for Intel, and then I'll say a bit more. Sound? Any sound? Oh.
We are Intel, sponsors of tomorrow.
Okay, so that was fun. You know, you're a type designer, and suddenly you your typeface is being used all over the world. It was being used on these stickers for Intel for I think maybe 8 years or something. And that was very exciting as a young designer. Intel used my branding used it for all of their branding across the board. Here's an illustration of the differences between the retail design and the Intel version. This is a job for British Airways. The agency was Interbrand, Newell and Sorrell, and the typeface is called Melius Modern. It's based on Melius, which was developed by Rodney Melius and Robin Nicholas at Monotype. This was a slightly more neutral version. I'd be amazed if anyone can guess which company. This is a corporate typeface before, but the agency was in New York, work in progress. Here's the full character set. I think it was CE. I've never seen one of my typefaces used this big before. This was on the side of the IMAX in London. Pretty fun. Okay, retail type design. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about Neo Sans now. Neo Sans came out in 2004, and I'll tell you what happened, and so we'll go from beginnings to the present day. So, lots of good things begin in sketchbooks. I think I was on a train and I was thinking, what would an ultra-modern, futuristic typeface look like? And these were the sort of very early ideas. I think about 8 months later, I had this. And I think my brief was, when I was designing it, I was thinking, what would look good on the side of a spaceship? But of course, type design doesn't work like that. The typeface came out. It's not on the side of a spaceship. It's used to sell salsa. It's also appeared on the back of buses, which is nice. It's been used to sell washing powder. You know you have a popular typeface when it's been used to sell washing powder. I was really pleased to see this today. Yeah, see. Everywhere I go in the world, it's my ambition to try and find one of my typefaces being used somewhere. This was fun. So, why am I showing you photos of the G8 summit in Germany 2007? It's because they branded this huge global summit using Neo Sans. And I explained to people, when you design a typeface, it's like a little bit of you goes off out into the world. So I've got these surreal pictures. People like Condoleezza Rice and then me in the background. This is Angela Merkel and me. It's fun. It never gets boring. Any type designer will tell you it never gets boring seeing your typefaces being used. This was fun. This was the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics, and the company wanted a unicase version, so it was quite surreal, because while the Winter Olympics were on for about 2 weeks, I was watching it on TV, and they just used it for absolutely everything. So I've got these crazy pictures of the athletes. All the numbers on the athletes' uniforms were this typeface I designed, which was really nice. It's a really nice thing to have. Okay, this is my favourite slide in this presentation. This is my boyhood hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's at the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics that year, and he's wearing a scarf with my typeface all over it. I thought, well, you know what, I don't need to design type anymore, because I've got this picture. Okay, so this is Soho, 2007. Huge project. I think huge super families are quite there are a lot of them around these days. There weren't that many back then. Took 3,000 hours, I think, of drawing. So it was a very involved project. But you know what? It came out, and it's really nice when this happens. GQ magazine were rebranding at the time, and they really liked Soho, and they ended up using it. It's really great because, by association, it makes your typeface look cool. This literally made my typeface look like the new cool. This does not make your typeface look like the new cool. It doesn't. But you know what? It's at least as cool as the GQ redesign. Okay, let's talk about art and illustration. Okay, so type design is an anonymous profession. In 2008, my work was everywhere, but almost no one had heard of me. I think I found it sad that I was working so hard and almost completely unknown. And maybe I was thinking maybe I have something else to offer as well, other than some nice typefaces. So I started thinking about the illustrative and expressive potential of letter forms. I remember looking at this, the word beautiful. What does beautiful actually look like? How can I interpret that? And I came up with this quick doodle of a cursive, long flowing ascenders and descenders, flourishing. How can I make this more beautiful? So I took it into Font Lab and I thought, yeah, that's more beautiful. But how can I make it even more beautiful? I know. I'm going to put it in this tranquil blue sea and have these little pink birds flying around, and that's going to make it more beautiful. Will the sound work now? If I press the video, okay. So I thought, well, how can I make this more beautiful? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn animation software and music production software, and I'll make something that's even more beautiful than this. So I did this. I'm really proud of the bongos. When the bongos come in at the end of that track, I think I really hit it on the head. Okay, failure is the key to success. Every mistake teaches us something. I thought, okay, well, I can't make beautiful any more beautiful, so what am I going to do now? Let's take the word natural beauty. How do I make natural beauty look beautiful? I thought maybe I'll start with Art Nouveau forms, referencing nature. That would be a good idea. 3 weeks later, I found myself looking at this, and I remember thinking, I'm going to set the illustration world on fire when people see this. But I thought, before I show it to the world, I'm going to show it to my friend Miles. So I sent it off to Miles for some feedback. I said, what do you think? And about 30 seconds later, he replied and he said, Seb, are you on drugs? Because you've been sending me some really weird pictures. Okay, basically, almost nobody liked my 3D illustration work. So, but the thing is, well, what do you do when that happens? Well, you can be dogged and go, I'm going to keep doing this. So you can just go back to the drawing board. And that's what I did. I thought, well, what am I quite good at? You know, I'm quite good at drawing. I stripped away all of the colour and the 3D, and I just went back to basics of just drawing forms. And this was a limited edition print I released 2008. It sold out very quickly, which was very pleasing. And then, so I had my corporate day job, but I was also, at night, I was doing stuff like playing around with the expressive potential of letter forms. So, you know, playing with meaning. Keep it simple. This is the title of my talk, as you remember. This is the piece in the title. Looking at Anglo-Saxon jewellery for that piece. Hellfire. Space is coming up. So, yeah, you can see it was kind of the opposite of corporate type design at this stage. I was playing around with lots of expressive forms, playing around with lots of references, historic reference, but trying to give them a modern spin. This was a print that I did very well for me. Okay, so remember I said how much I loved BMX? Well, my friend Johan has a BMX company. He was designing a logo for his, needed a logo for his BMX company, and he asked me to get involved, so I did some doodling. This is what came out of the end of that, a sort of dynamic script. He actually produced a little video showing off the bikes, which I'll show you now. That's better. So here's the bike in its full glory with the BMX, with my logo on it, which is great fun. Okay, so from BMX bikes to spacecraft. So this is a serious career highlight for me. I'm a huge fan of NASA. How does a guy living in a little town in England end up designing a logo for NASA? Well, here's the story. In January 2013, I was interviewed by Salon magazine. You can see the article on this slide at the bottom here. It's a mainstream news website based in the US. The interview came about as a result of my calligraphy starting to gain quite a lot of momentum online. So that was great. You know, the interview went out. I knew a lot of people who weren't in design would see it. The last question the interviewer asked me was, what would be your dream assignment? And I said, well, a logo for a spaceship would be about as good as it gets. So if anyone from NASA or any other government space agency is reading this, please bear me in mind. I'm totally serious. Can you see how I said I'm totally serious? Because I wanted people to know I was totally serious about it. Okay, I'm about to show you the coolest email I've ever received in my life. Reason for contact, NASA mission logo. Hello, Mr. Lester. I work for a NASA mission called SWAT and have been asked by the project to contact you to assess your interest in working with us to produce a mission logo per your comment in Salon. If so, we're interested in what ideas you have and if there is a match with our needs. Warm regards. When I read this email, I got a massive headache. I had to go and lie down in a dark room for about an hour and try and take in what was happening. Then I kind of came around, composed myself. I thought, okay, I need some advice on pricing. Because, I mean, how would you? Because as an illustrator or designer, you calculate a quote based on usage, where the logo or illustration will appear, duration, how long it will appear for, and region, where in the world. So I'm going to email, I thought I'll email my friend Paul, who was helping me with pricing jobs at the time. This is my email to Paul. Hi, Paul. I hope all's well. I'd like some pricing advice, please. I just had an email from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California. They want me to design a logo for a space mission. In terms of usage, the logo would be used on the NASA website and in press releases. It would also be used on the side of a big rocket that is launching a satellite system. The logo will also be used on the satellite itself, which will be orbiting the Earth at 17,000 miles per hour at about 200 miles above sea level. Is that global usage? No ad campaigns or significant print runs. The duration of the mission is 3 years. Any help appreciated, Seb. Paul got back to me. This was Paul's reply. You know, I got the impression from Paul's response that he wasn't taking me very seriously. So I rang him up and I said, no, Paul, I'm totally serious. And he said it's the most insane job that he'd ever helped anyone quote on in his life. He couldn't believe it. So, okay. So this is, basically, I had to arrange a conference call with the client. Now, you've got to remember, I am basically a nerd with a lot of pens, and I had a conference call coming up with 2 NASA rocket scientists. That's very intimidating for someone like me. So what do? I did a lot of research, and I needed to know about the mission. It turned out that it's an amazing mission. The keywords were global water and flow, so it's to predict flooding around the world was one of the things, and help with global warming predictions. So that was a very exciting thing. I start with sketchbook work again, as I always do. I went through various iterations. Global water and flow, they were the key things. I think I was looking to do something quite robust and aerodynamic looking as well. Every NASA mission has a mission patch. This was the mission patch design that I came up with. I think the client chose this one. But you know, to be honest, I've been invited to the launch in 2020 in California. I'm very excited about that. I was just grateful to get something involved through. They asked me to create this visual showing how the logo should appear on the launch vehicle when it launches in 2020. So I can't show you the launch, but I can show you a related launch that went up shortly. You know, it's related. It's the previous related mission.
5, 4, 3. Main engine start. 2, 1, and liftoff of the Delta II with Jason II for the Ocean Survey Topography mission, measuring sea level from space.
Okay, so what did I learn from all this? I think one of the things I learned is that if you don't ask, you don't get. If you ever are interviewed in a big mainstream publication, then ask for things. I always ask for things now. I put ideas out there. Also, the internet's really made the world a tiny place now. You can get the attention of anybody you want to, almost, fairly easily. So you need to think big and think about, anything's possible, just takes work. Okay, let's talk about calligraphy. I got into calligraphy in about 2010. I think the reason I had been put off, I was a digital designer, I'd been put off doing it for a long time, because I thought it takes 10 years to get good. And then what actually happened is my partner suddenly became very ill in 2011. I couldn't work for over a year, so I was a full-time carer, but I had pencil and paper and calligraphy pens to mess about with as sort of therapy, really, for me while we were going through this thing. She's in pretty good condition now, so she's still around. But I'll show you, this is after a year of doing calligraphy, I made this little video.
My name's Seb Lester. I'm a designer and artist based in the UK. The focus of all of my work is letter forms. I've started doing a lot of calligraphy lately. What I've realised is that doing calligraphy makes you a better type designer, and doing type design makes you a better calligrapher. So there's a really nice synergy there. I hope it's something that I continue to benefit from. I've just finished 2 new pieces of work. They're both prints. The first print is called Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, and it's based on a poem by Dylan Thomas. This print's a good example of how I've drawn on calligraphy and how it's shaping the way I work now. I wanted it to look very graceful, but I also wanted it to have attention about it. With the letter forms here is the harmony and the beauty found in the words. I try to visually evoke that. I try to draw from the past but create something that's of our time.
I now think of type design as a kind of gateway drug to more hardcore, addictive and dangerous drugs like calligraphy. This is 1 year of calligraphy sketchbooks. I've obviously got a serious calligraphy problem. This was like in the first 2 or 3 years it was like this. It's settled down now. I think that this was the first piece of calligraphy I found in a sketchbook. And obviously didn't know what I was doing, as you can see. This is a year later, slightly better. A year later, slightly tightening up, getting a bit more understanding. Yeah, and I just fell in love with calligraphy, really. I think it's a really powerful medium. It's incredibly immediate. You get immediate feedback on work. You can draw letters in seconds. Just some various studies of things. Just having fun, really. Okay, I need to talk about viral videos on the internet now. Something really strange happened in February 2013. This was my first experience of a truly viral video. I think this is over 1 million views. I won't show you the whole thing, but I'll show you a quick clip and then tell you about it. I posted the following update 3 days later on Facebook. It's been a strange few days. My new calligraphy video has had 300,000 views since Friday. I've had 3 marriage proposals from complete strangers. And a lady in Africa wants me to design a logo for her sex shop. So I think, thank you. I think what I learned from this is when you put a video online, it goes viral. You get some insane emails. I get insane emails, trust me. Okay, let's talk about Instagram. June 2014, this was my Instagram account. And I got an email from Instagram and they said, "We really love your work. Do you mind if we show it to 65 million people on our official Instagram page?" And that's absolutely fine. Go for it. So it was absolutely mental. So the post went up. I think 24 hours later, my follower count had gone up quite substantially. I think this is the situation at the moment. So I've compiled a short edit of some of those very early calligraphy videos to show you the sort of work that I was doing and why people seem to like it. Turn it up a bit, please. So, I'll show you a couple more. These were really popular. Sorry. Okay, it's such good fun, you should try it. And then it occurred to me one day, hang on a minute, if I do this, you don't have to like calligraphy to like this. You don't have to like lettering to like this. You just have to like Harry Potter. Lots of people like Harry Potter. So this is when things went absolutely mental online. And of course you can do all sorts of things with various logos appealing to different demographics, and people invest emotionally and financially in logos, so there's a strong connection people make. So these are things that are very powerful. So if you can harness that, that's a really interesting idea. So you get the idea. I think that's... anyway, so the internet went bonkers. BuzzFeed wrote this article, incredibly kind article. Crazy, isn't it? And actually all the world's press were picking up on this. There were articles in mainstream newspapers all over the world. You know what the coolest thing about this slide is? If you look on the bottom left, that's one of my typefaces, that's Specsavers logo. So it's fun. That's referencing the past and the present. One of the most recent chapters is an online calligraphy video on Facebook, got 100 million views, and it resulted in this interview on US TV.
Of the day, something that caught our eye, which might be of interest to you too. Calligraphy, the art of handwritten lettering, is drawing a new audience on social media. UK-based artist and designer Seb Lester frequently posts videos featuring the creation of his calligraphy. A compilation posted on Facebook reached more than 45 million views in 5 days. Lester talked with the NewsHour today about the art and craft of writing.
So that was pretty crazy. I need to talk to you about this guy. I don't know if you know him in Portugal. Do you know him? Casey Neistat, yeah. He's a bit of a YouTube legend. One of the lovely things about talking at conferences, I get to meet some incredible people. And I met Casey 2 years ago in a conference in Barcelona, and we got in touch. So we stayed in touch. And I was going to New York for a job. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get in touch with Casey. I'll try and hook up with him. So I emailed him and said, Casey, do you want to meet up for a coffee? And he said, no, I don't want to meet for a coffee. You're coming on my podcast. You're coming on my YouTube channel. He has 8 million followers now. And I thought, well, I can't not do this. This is bonkers. But I thought, well, I have to do it. So I turned up at his studio, and he was getting his camera out, and I said to him, look, Casey, I'm a really shy person. I'm not sure about this. It's going to get seen by millions of people. And he said, don't worry, I'll hype you up in the beginning. You'll be absolutely fine. I said, all right then, okay. So this is what happened.
Okay, I didn't film him walking through the door because I was a little starstruck. But, ladies and gentlemen, artist and master calligrapher, Seb Lester. This thing won't turn. Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen a rabbit trapped in headlights before, but it looks exactly like that. So, but it went okay. It was fine. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Apple. I'm going to tell you the story. I actually, very bizarre, I ended up in an iPad commercial last year. And I was actually ended up being the first visual artist to be offered a 1-year contract by Apple, so I'm very proud of that. How did it happen? Let me tell you. Okay, so I'm about to show you the second coolest email I've ever received in my life. This is fun. Okay, so name J.J. Abrams. Now, I don't know if you know who J.J. Abrams is, but he's about A-list. I didn't know this when I got the email, but the email says, hey there, J.J. Abrams here, just checked out your website, an incredible work. He was very kind. And he said, I thought, J.J. Abrams, I think the name sounds familiar, but I don't know. Because it was weird, he said, he didn't, because normally I get emails that says, hi, my name's John, I'm an art director at wherever, or hi, my name's Sarah, I'm a senior designer at wherever. This just says, hi, I'm J.J. Abrams. So anyway, I thought I'll Google this guy. Over 10 million results for J.J. Abrams. He's a huge Hollywood film director. He's directed Star Wars movies and hit TV channels. So, he wants to meet me. It's crazy. So I thought, well, I've got to meet this guy. I don't meet Hollywood film directors very often. I was really nervous, but obviously it's an amazing opportunity. So we arranged to meet in this hotel bar in London, the fanciest hotel bar you've ever seen in your life. And I thought, okay, just... In England we have a saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So I was thinking, Seb, just go over. I walked into the lobby, and I could see him at the other end of the lobby, and I thought, okay, just go over. All you have to do is say, introduce yourself and be nice, and everything will be fine. So I walked over, and I tapped him on the shoulder and said, hi, Seb, I'm JJ. I can't believe I did that. And he looked at me, and he said, no, I'm JJ, and you're Seb. And then I made it worse. I said, that's right, you're JJ and I'm Seb. So we walked into the bar and I said, this is the dumbest conversation I've ever had with another human being in my entire life, and it's with JJ Abrams. Fantastic. So anyway, we sat down. We got on really well, actually. And he said to me, we got on really well, we stayed in touch, and he said, I'm going to introduce you to Johnny Ive, my friend Johnny Ive and Elon Musk. And I was, is this happening to me? I thought, did I bang my head when I got out of bed this morning? Is this some sort of weird? And he said, and anyway, we got on well. I left, and I thought, well, people say these things, but, you know, there's probably nothing that's going to happen. 4 days later, I got an email from Apple, and they said they really wanted to have a conference call with me. And he'd written to Johnny, his friend, a really kind email. And that's what happened. So, anyway, so I had this relationship now with Apple, and there was 2 months of development work. And there's this WWDC event they have 2 big events, Apple, every year, WWDC. And I did lots of illustrations for the event. This is one of my illustrations on stage. I think there were 5,000 people in the audience. It was broadcast to, I think, 20 million people or something. So it was pretty fun. Wonderful opportunity. My work on stage again. It was promoting the new iPad, as it was then. I did these radial illustrations, which seem to work quite well. They have a hands-on area at these Apple events where people get to try out the new equipment. And so I've got these slightly crazy pictures of people looking awestruck at the new iPad Pro with my illustrations in the background. Tim Cook. It was really fun. I also did some work for the stores worldwide. I did some radial symmetry. I'm very interested in symmetry at the moment. I did some symmetry work, and I did some letterform-based illustrations. So I'll show you the ad now. I'm in it for about a second, so don't blink for the next 90 seconds or something. And look out, there's some of my work in there too.
Keep my hands on myself. Think I'll dust them off, put them back up on the shelf. Kiss my little baby girl as in need. Am I coming out of left? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I can feel it still. We could fight a war for peace. Give in to that easy living, goodbye to my hopes and dreams. Is it coming? Is it coming back? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I can feel it still. Might have had your fill, I can feel it still.
Creativity. I love creativity. I love the creative process. I love how a little sketch in a sketchbook can evolve into maybe a print. I can't emphasize enough how important sketchbooks are to me. I use them all the time. But then the print could become a mural, This is a mural in, I think it's in East London, Walthamstow. And I think that, you know, the potential for letterforms in any capacity is incredible. I love the fact that letterforms, I'm going through a bit of a Baroque midlife crisis at the moment, so, but you can have, you know, a queue can look like anything. It's got to follow you know, the basic structure of a queue, but you can do anything within that, and I find that absolutely fascinating. It's a H I'm working on at the moment. It's a little bit crazy, possibly, but it's great fun. Love it. Okay, conclusion. Okay, so someone asked me recently, to who or what do you attribute your success? And I think this is a really important slide, actually. You need to take note of this, because I think this is really what it's all about. So take a second to read that. I was going to say, actually, how do I finish? I'm going to distill this paragraph down into a little piece of calligraphy to finish, and I'll show you that now.
So we are taking questions now.
Seb, impressive work. Here.
Hi. Hi there. Hi.
Can you tell us? I mean, how much do you practice before each video?
Before each video?
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. You've got to be in a good frame of mind to do calligraphy. You have to be quite relaxed. Sometimes I get things first time. I normally set the camera up from the beginning. I'd say I might try something twice, and then I'll film through 2 or 3 and use the best one. So sometimes I get it first time, and sometimes I just not. You can't. You're just too wound up to do good calligraphy, so you can't work that day.
Thank you.
Mais alguém?
questions? Mais perguntas? Se alguém quiser fazer uma pergunta em português e eu traduzir.
Sorry.
Joana.
I have a small curiosity. I was watching this presentation and I was wondering how is your normal writing, how you write normal?
It's quite messy actually. I don't even try when I'm writing handwriting very much, so it's quite messy, but yeah, that's it.
Hi, Seb.
Hi.
I was curious, you showed your studio, very messy and creative. I was wondering, what is a normal day for you when you're working? Is it messy or very organized?
About every 4 months I'll tidy up my office, and it's like an archaeological dig. I'll be finding things from a year ago that somehow it's just dreadful. It's not clever, but it's just how things are. I can't help it. Yeah, I don't know. You get so involved in something that I don't really think about anything else, and I'm very hyper focused, and I don't really think about putting things away, so I don't know. That's it really. I wish I was more organised though, because I'm always losing things. There are pens I haven't been able to find for like 2 months. They're somewhere.
So now that you've done the job for NASA, what's your next dream job?
That's a really good question as well. I don't, honestly, I think that NASA and then the Apple project last year was for me that was a really big thing, and it's something that I've been working to for a very long time. So I really need to take a bit of time off, I think, and just have a think about what I actually want to do now, because I'm somebody I like big challenges. I like really big challenges, and I don't really know what my next big goal is really, but I have to see. I'd quite like to design some money, some coins or something, but I don't really know. That's quite exciting in a way. I don't really know. I'll figure something out.
Still talking about space, did you actually meet Elon Musk?
Pardon?
Did you actually meet Elon Musk?
No, not yet. I'm still waiting for that email.
I have the impression that SpaceX is actually investing a lot on design for their spacesuits, and not only typography. They don't only need a new logo, perhaps, but they are actually investing a lot on their image. Like the new launch pad. Really fancy, futuristically looking.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, Seb.
Hi.
I have a curiosity with them again. We were changing here some messages, and I must say one. It's that in so many years we never have so much clap in this auditorium. So that's good. But that's not what I want to do. I want to say. Someone said you have such a sense of humor, and I noticed that because you just had some calligraphy saying fuck, sorry, and saying police fuck off or something like that. You have 2 or 3 that are... What exactly was that? Were you referring to someone like your bosses in Monotype or something like that?
No comment whatsoever.
No comments, okay. Thank you.
Hi Seb, this is Pedro. Thank you for the talk. I'm not quite sure if you mentioned it or if I actually seen it before. Can you talk about a bit about your training, or did you have a formal training, like informal writing models or something, for the students here in the audience? Is it, yeah, from your perspective, is it necessary or?
I did a graphic, in terms of generally, I did a graphic design degree at St Martin's in London. In terms of type design, I guess I kind of had an apprenticeship at Monotype, really. I was there for 9 years, and I had a lovely boss called Robin Nicholas, who was a great mentor. In terms of calligraphy, I'm totally self-taught. There are advantages and disadvantages to that. I think it worked very well for me because I was just focusing on beauty rather than any dogma or kind of rules, or it was, you know, the tone is completely free. There's a lot of, I don't think I'm an okay calligrapher, but I'm not. I'm a certain kind of calligrapher. I'm like a stunt calligrapher. You know, I'm not interested in drawing up line, you know, carefully constructing grids, and it's just, I just want to just energy and just kind of.
So you see yourself more from considering two approaches, more expressive and the more traditional formal calligraphy. Yeah, you consider more on the expressive side.
Yeah, I really love really beautiful formal calligraphy, but it's just not, because I've spent so many tens of thousands of hours drawing digital letter forms. I'm pretty good at drawing letter forms, so I don't want to be this, you know, I'm not trying to be an incredible technical calligrapher, because I don't at the moment, because I just don't really feel the need to, because I can compensate with the digital work.
So maybe allow me for a little provocation, because on your side you have João, who has a training app. Maybe call it like this.
I definitely recommend people do calligraphy classes if they're around. That would be useful.
Be formally trained in the formal writing methods, like in Johnston and stuff like that. Yeah,
but don't just do that, because you'll just end up being, you know, it's really about your personality. People, it's about, you know, what. The energy won't come from that. The energy will come from within you and what you have to say and what excites you. So, but I mean, you can speed things up possibly with some lessons. I'm not dismissing that at all. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
I was wondering about if there's any restriction on the design of the embroidered patches for the mission. The fact that they would have to be embroidered, did that place any constraints on the design, on the shapes, or any other considerations regarding that?
Actually, one of the things I learned at Monotype is I've always placed a lot of emphasis on legibility. So I kept things very simple. And possibly, it's actually, a lot of mission patches are quite intricate, and probably too intricate, arguably. They're not thinking about the medium. But I just kept it simple, just so it wasn't an issue.
Ok, vamos encerrar a sessão. So finish this session. And now we'll have the exhibition Jorge Reis na galeria do IPT no centro de Tomar. Por isso avisar todos que temos que ir para lá, está bem? Pronto. Thank you so much.